I always say if you spend 30 minutes during the weekend or your day off in planning for the next 4 or 5 meals for yourself and your family, and then 30 more minutes at the store getting those ingredients, you are set for the entire week. It's so easy for us to be able to come home on a Wednesday night. Your spouse is running late from work for meetings. Your kids are starving and screaming at you, and you're sort of looking at a bare pantry and bare fridge, and then you just want to do takeout or pizza. And once in a while, it's nice to be able to do takeout and pizza, but most of the time, if you set yourself up for success in meal planning and having dinners ready, then you're good, that you've got the food already in the fridge. You can get your kids involved, have everybody in the family involved to make their dinner. And when families get involved, they want to eat the food that they've made.
This is the Brandon Smith Show, and of course, I'm your host, Brandon Smith, and the entire purpose of this show is one singular thing, and that's to help you live a life that much more free from dysfunction. So our show today is one that I'm really excited about because I could definitely use it. And so we're moving a little bit out of the workplace world and into the general life world, and we're going to talk about how do you do clean eating? Like, how do you eat in a healthier way, a cleaner way, so not only you can feel better, your body can feel better, you can perform better, and just makes your life overall better. So to help us on this journey, I am really pleased to have our amazing guest, Krishna Chapatwala. And Krishna, you are a couple things. So I want to make sure I get this right. You're a personal chef, caterer, cooking instructor, and overall just kind of advocate for clean eating.
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so I've never had someone who's a personal chef, caterer, a cooking instructor on this show.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm
Thank you
really
so
excited
much.
to be here. I'm kind of intimidated.
Don't be.
I totally am. I kind of am. I'm like I think I'm gonna feel both good about where I'm going and bad about how I'm currently eating after this show.
But you will learn a lot. So I think that's...
I am. You know what? I can guarantee you I'm going to learn a lot because I'm coming from a very low level. Okay, so this is going to be really good.
Now that you put it that way.
So we're going to jump into this because I'm really curious about what it means to eat more clean and how you define that. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about your journey. How'd you get doing this?
So I grew up in an immigrant family's household. My parents and I migrated to America when I was 10, and my mom cooked.
So you migrated here when you were 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been a really challenging.
Yes, it was.
Talk about a culture shock.
Very much. And I initially was just like, what has happened to me? This is terrible. I want to go back to what I knew.
Yeah.
But I think 10 is also easier than, say, teenage years or a little bit older. So I think I adjusted. After a couple of years, I adjusted pretty well. My mom made Indian food every single day growing up, and I couldn't wait to get out and go to college and sort of experience, different cuisines. Went to college and sort of opened my eyes to the different kinds of food out there. The one thing that my parents never ate was sushi because of the raw fish aspect of it.
Yeah.
And one of the first months that I was at college, I tried sushi, loved it. And so I sort of just kind of had my eyes open to the cuisines that were out there in the world. That fueled my appetite to want to cook and eat different kinds of foods. So I entertained friends. Even like when we had our small apartment, my roommate and I, we would have friends over. She would do the dishes, I would cook, and I would
That's a pretty good deal. Let's sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Well, she got free food out of it, so of course. And then so did our friends. And that sort of fueled me to keep trying new recipes and just keep at it and learn things about food. And it doesn't just have to be one cuisine is what sort of I took away from that. But in the meantime, I was still getting my bachelor's degree in human resources. I worked in the corporate world as an HR person and quickly learned that it was not for me. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to make food and just, have people enjoy the food that I was making. And I, as a part-time hobby, I went back to school, to culinary school. And after that, coming out of that, I realized that was my passion. So I started Local Green Eats in 2009 and have sort of just kept going with it. I've moved a couple times to Germany and now here at Atlanta.
Wow.
And just have Local Green Eats been the backbone for me. My business, it's my passion, it's everything. And as you said, it's a personal chef and catering company, but I also do cooking classes.
So you can like equip people how to do this.
Exactly.
You can do it for them at kind of an individual or family level.
Yes.
And then I don't know, kind of sounds like even weekly.
Yes.
And then you can also do like bigger events.
Right, exactly. I've
Wow.
got an event that's actually coming up tomorrow. Funny enough, tomorrow I've got a cooking class in the evening, and I've got an event for 40 people that I'm catering. And the event is all fajitas and tacos and Mexican inspired. But then my cooking class is build a better burger.
Build a better burger. You got to say that 3 times fast. Build a better burger. Build a better burger. Build a better burger. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I could be up for that class.
I thought
I
you
can
might-
build a better burger.
Yeah, yeah.
I can do that. This is great.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So I love this because not only can I sense your passion about this, you're also an entrepreneur. I mean, you've had to kind of figure out how do you bring this to the world,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah, and I love it. I tell everybody that I found my calling in, the career aspect of the world, but I love what I do, and so I'm glad that this is what it is.
Okay, so real quick before we move into our topic,
Yeah.
I often have people that listen or even come on and you have this big desire to make this shift to something they're really passionate about and leave kind of their corporate world behind.
Yes.
Would you have any pieces of advice for them? on that?
Absolutely. I say try it out as a, side hustle, as the keyword is these
Yeah.
days. Try it out as a side hustle. That's what I did. I did culinary school in the evenings while I still had my corporate job. And then when I got my first client as a wedding catering, I said, I like this, but I can't obviously quit my job. And I kept catering events once in a blue moon in the weekends and sometimes evenings. And that sort of really helped me build my base, my client base. After about 6-7 months of post-graduation from culinary school, I had enough clients that hired me to do catering, or I also had one of my catering clients say, I want you to cook for me as a personal chef. I had no idea what that was before, but then I realized that they want weekly meals from me. And that turned into, from one client, she told 3 people at work, they hired me, and that turned into more clients that wanted to hire me not only for catering, but also personal chef, weekly meals.
Entrepreneurship 101, folks. Entrepreneurship 101. So what I love about that too is a couple things. First, with your side hustle, you started picking up clients. You got yourself a client base. You kind of
Yes.
built your bridge. So when you were ready to walk on it, there it was.
Right.
Definitely speaks to the importance of referrals,
Right.
right? Because if you do good work, people are going to refer you.
Absolutely.
But the other part I love in this was you didn't go into it thinking you were going to be cooking weekly meals.
Yeah.
But it turns out that was a need that you could meet.
Exactly.
You're like, interesting.
Yeah.
Customers will pay for this.
Right. I mean, if you had said to me, you're going to be a personal chef before culinary school, I would have been like, what are you talking about? Because I only imagined being a chef or some cooking in some capacity as just a caterer.
Yeah.
And so when somebody said to me, I want you to make my weekly meals, I said, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I love to cook. And this allows me to be able to cook for my clients regularly.
And you make their life easier and healthier.
Absolutely.
So it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's funny. I often talk on this show because I work and bump into so many different people in so many different working environments, whether it's higher education or nonprofits or schools or big companies or small companies. But everyone has 2 big things at play for them in life right now. Time's their most precious resource,
Yes.
and everything is urgent all the time.
Right.
So to have someone take something off their plate,
Absolutely.
no pun intended, maybe a little pun intended.
Just a
That
little
was
bit.
actually really funny.
That
I
was a
did
really
not
good
mean to
one.
do that, actually. That was really good. But to be able to have that done for them and make their life easier is a great thing.
Absolutely.
So everyone
Yeah.
listening, take note. You might want to be calling Krishna after this. So let's talk a little about eating, clean eating.
Yes.
I get the idea of that phrase. Like, it makes sense to me, but I don't really know what it is. So do you have any take us through this journey? Are there like a certain number of steps or things we need to think about that kind of help us do that better?
Yes, absolutely. Clean eating essentially is eating more vegetables, less meat. And when I say less meat, I really mean less red meat. You can still have your protein through chicken and pork, and of course tofu and beans. But essentially the point of clean eating is eat more vegetables and fruits, and have the good forms of ingredients in your home that equip you to be able to eat healthy. I always say shop the perimeter of the grocery store. So essentially the vegetables, the fruits, the dairy, the eggs, and coming around obviously for meat. Of course, we all need those
Ice
things.
cream's on the perimeter, though, too.
Well, it depends on the grocery store.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
And of course, there are aisles like frozen vegetables that I highly recommend that you have. You stock your freezer with it. So there are some aisles that you should go down. But, I always say unless you really, really have to have that sugary cereal every morning, avoid that. Or those TV dinners. It's so easy to just go to one of those aisles and get a TV dinner and say, this is going to be dinner for me tonight. Why not put that meal together? And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. So for me, clean eating is just that: eat more vegetables, a little bit less red meat. Chicken and pork are fine, so just as much as you are normally consuming. And eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner regularly. There are, other things that I do want to talk about as we go through. So that's I would say my number one thing for clean eating is shop the vegetable area, the produce area. If you don't know a vegetable, I always say try it. With Google, you can find, all kinds of recipes. And then if you find a recipe that you love, great, you've got a new vegetable in your repertoire that you can use. Or if you don't like it, you can say, hey, I don't really like this kohlrabi.
Interesting.
Yeah. So try different things, because we're so just, used to eating broccoli, green beans, asparagus, and maybe zucchini. There's so many other vegetables that are there that we have to try for us to be able to, have our palates opened. Same thing with fruits. I know that here at Atlanta, we're lucky. There's international markets that have all kinds of fruits from around the world. Try different fruits, just beyond apples and bananas.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, my number one tip on clean eating.
I love that idea too of, I guess I've never really heard someone say it like that. Just try new vegetables.
Yeah.
Expand your palate by expanding the vegetables in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? That's all it takes. And that my biggest thing is, you will learn so much about yourself and the vegetable after this, trial run. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to try it again. I mean, we say this to kids, so why not say it to ourselves as adults? Try it once. If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it again. But at least then you'll have known, I don't like this or I love this.
Yeah. So I just noticed you've got a list here.
Yes.
Are there 5 things on that list?
Well, yeah. They sort of weave in and out. So
Isaac's laughing. He's like, Brandon likes lists.
Yeah.
He likes lists. Okay, so we did the first one, which was kind of go around the perimeter.
Yes.
And really focus on the vegetables.
Right.
And try new vegetables.
Yes.
And then limit our red meat consumption. That was another one.
Yes.
So just so I'm clear on that, is it what does that look like? Is it like red meat once a week, red meat once a month? What's a good kind of rule to kind of keep in our mind?
Red meat once a week.
Once a week.
That's the extent of it. I know that sometimes our diets tend to have 3 or 4 nights where we have burgers or,
So build a better burger should be once a week.
Once a week, absolutely.
I get that burger once a week.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can do that.
Yes.
I can do that.
Because you will get other forms of protein. And I think that's the thing. If we allow ourselves to have the other meats that are good for you, you won't miss the beef or lamb, for those of us that have lamb too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
awesome.
Yeah. The second thing that I want to say is drink more water. I think that's very much part of clean eating. We're not drinking.
I'm going to take a drink of water right now.
Yeah, do it. We sort of gravitate towards the sodas and, sugary drinks that we probably don't need. We really, I think that we'll have to concentrate on having more water in our bodies. And it's not just because we have to stay hydrated. It also helps fill us up. Water sort of tells us, okay, this is my limit. This is how much you should be eating. So usually if I have my normal 60 to 70 ounces of water a day, I'm eating much better than if I'm drinking like 20 ounces of water. So that's my big thing. Drink more water and less soda. Soda, I'm very against soda. I don't know if you're going to be upset for
I'm not upset by this.
But I say if you can make soda like once a month or even less, then you're good. So
yeah, I think that's great. I think and a lot of countries, I had a group of German students that I was working with at Emory several years ago, and I remember the faculty director of that program. She came up to me and she said, there's so much soda consumption in the United States. We really don't drink that much soda. It's more like it's treated more like a dessert.
Yeah.
At least in my town in Germany, than it is like a regular staple.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good way to think about it. Think about more like a special treat or dessert.
Right. Exactly. And it should be, because it's very sugary, and so I think it should be a treat. And I like the bubbly, fizzy aspect of it. And so once in a while I'll have it, but I never have it in the house, which helps. If you don't have it in the house, then you can't have it. You're not going to go to the grocery store or the 7-Eleven to get just your soda.
Yeah.
So don't keep it in the house.
Okay. All right. What's our next one?
I would say have more smoothies and beverages that you can make at home. Whether it's, I make a smoothie usually every other day for my breakfast. That's my breakfast.
Okay.
So have frozen fruits and vegetables. You can have, spinach in your smoothie. My husband hates spinach in his smoothie, but I don't mind it. So frozen spinach, frozen mango, frozen berries, all of that, throw it in your food processor or your blender and have a little bit of milk. Now, if you want almond milk or soy milk, that's totally okay. I drink regular milk. And make a smoothie. Not only is it good, it's good for you, and it's filling. I usually, when I have a smoothie that's about 12 to 14 ounces, I'm good until lunch. And so we forget that making your own smoothies or having something like that at home is so much easier. It's cheaper, but it's also, filling.
And the nice thing about that too is if I'm not commuting as much as I used to by design, but when I was doing regular kind of hour and 30-minute commutes, like you can have that while you're commuting.
Yes.
Right? You could make it and then take it with you.
Yeah.
And then kind of enjoy. It makes that not maybe makes the commute a little less painful, but you're also doing two things at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. So spinach mixing it with mango. Can you taste the spinach?
You can taste the spinach, but I usually do, when I do spinach, I'll do it with banana and like more fruits, banana, mango, and berries. And so I can taste the spinach and I don't mind the bitterness of the spinach.
But your husband's like,
Yeah, no. So his smoothie, and this is the one that I would tell everybody, avoid the spinach if you don't like bitter greens in your morning breakfast drink, like me. Go with a banana, dairy of some sort, whether it's milk, almond milk, soy milk, and then another fruit, whether it's berries, mixed berries, or mango. You need to have at least 2 fruits in there and milk to make it worthwhile. And then,
but you're using banana as the staple.
Yes, yeah.
Any particular reason?
It sort of just brings it together. Otherwise, it's really watery, even with the milk in there.
So it adds a kind of a thickening agent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sort of, makes it very smoothie-like. So yeah, that's what I would go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, well, we just hit break. So here's what we'll do. We're going to roll into break. When we come back, it looks like you've got a few more items for us. You do have some more items?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, all right. Then I'm going to pepper you some questions now on
Perfect.
how I can get myself in better shape with my eating, because it's not there right now.
Yeah.
Krishna, and I could use some help. So stay tuned. We'll be right back as we continue our journey on how do we eat a little bit better so our lives can be that much healthier. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Here's your coaching minute for the week, presented to you by the Leadership Foundry. Dysfunction in the workplace, it's a pervasive problem. Here's a simple tip to eliminate dysfunction, both in your team, but even in the environments around you. Clarify your team members' roles, goals, and responsibilities. So just spend some time thinking about, does all of my team know? Does each of them know what their role is, what the goals are of the team, and their responsibilities? If the answer is yes, you right there eliminate 50% of all the dysfunction that could come up in your team. If the answer is no, think about how you could do that better. When we don't do that, one of two things happens. Either people overlap work and they step on each other's toes, or you have one person carrying much bigger load while a couple other people are hanging out not doing near as much work. It's one of the big problems in the nonprofit world, is a lack of clarity around roles, goals, and responsibilities. So focus on those 3 things, and I promise you, not only will you eliminate dysfunction, it's going to make your workplace that much more enjoyable. Welcome back from break. Of course, this is the Brandon Smith Show, and we've been talking about clean eating today with Krishna. And so, Krishna, you went through kind of some good steps for us on how we do this better. Mm-hmm. And during the break, I see we have some hummus here.
Yes.
And you made this.
I did.
And I know this is blowing my mind that you made hummus.
Yeah.
I know that probably speaks a lot to how basic my cooking skills are, but I'm super impressed.
Absolutely.
So how do you make hummus?
It's very easy. And I tell everybody this. If I can make hummus, I started making hummus. One of the first things that I did was 10 years ago was make hummus. A couple people tried it at my corporate job and they said, we want to buy your hummus.
Oh, buy your hummus.
So when I started making hummus and I realized how easy it is, and this is when Sabra wasn't even in business. It really took off in the last 5 or 7 years, but I thought, oh, I could totally do this.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's tahini, which is sesame seeds. Seeds or paste of sesame seeds is kind of like peanut butter, but a little bit lighter. Chickpeas, garlic, salt, and olive oil and lemon juice. That's it. You put it in your blender or your food processor and just have it go, and it blends it up and it makes this really creamy dip that everybody loves to eat now.
I'm gonna have it on my piece of celery. I'm going for it.
And go for it.
Here we go. That's really good.
Good. I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
That is delicious.
Thank you.
That is awesome. And I love hummus, so I eat all different kinds of flavors of hummus.
Yeah.
I haven't had anything that tastes like that before.
Really?
There's something about it. I think something about making it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I can almost taste all the flavors.
Right.
In a more distinct way that you mentioned.
Right.
It's in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I got one more piece of celery. Ready?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, if you make this hummus once a week on a Sunday, you've got snacks for the whole week. This will last 5 to 7 days in your fridge. So if you come home and you're starving, or if your kids come home and they're sort of reaching for junky snacks, give them hummus with celery or carrot sticks, or you can even get, of course, pita chips. That's totally fine. But then you've got homemade hummus to feed yourself and your family.
So you could make this for people, but you could also teach people how to make it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Why is not everyone calling you all the time? It's like, this is amazing.
Yeah. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I'm going to have another one and be loud and noisy to the listeners.
Go
because
for it.
I've got celery and I've got carrots here. Okay, so as I take another little dip into this delicious, awesome hummus, one of the questions I was curious about, you give us some great general tips around eating more clean and healthy.
Yeah.
But you also sprinkled in there a few things we should be avoiding.
Right.
You mentioned regular red meat, and you mentioned sodas.
Yeah.
Right? So stay away from those as regular staples.
Right.
What are other things that you would say, those are anti-clean? You don't want to do that in your diet on a regular basis because it's going to mess you up.
Yep. So this sort of speaks to me shopping around the perimeter and me recommending that you go around.
Sorry, I'm being rude. I'm eating another. I can't help it. It's really good.
It's so those prepackaged boxes of something, like a rice box that has seasonings in it. Anything that has pre-made seasonings in it, I always avoid, because we tend to have rice around, we tend to have pasta around. I always say, add your own ingredients, add your own dried herbs or fresh herbs with garlic to your rice, and that's going to be, sort of the same concept as you would get in that box. I avoid those boxes because they're full of salt and they're full of preservatives, things that you really don't need to have for clean eating and a healthy body. So that's my number one thing. Avoid those boxes if you can. Get, a pound or 2 pounds of rice and or pasta. There's so many varieties now. We're not limited to just rice and pasta. There's orzo, which is the short grain pasta, or there's couscous. There's all kinds of grains like that. Buy a few of those and then make your own seasoning mix. Have a container of your spices ready to go, so you're not making it every single time, and then just use that as your spice mix, as it would be in those boxes.
Fantastic. So that's with the rice boxes, for example, that have the seasoning in it.
Yeah.
Does that extend all the way to just general seasoning packets? Would you also say avoid those? Because I know sometimes in the grocery store you can buy seasoning packets, and I'm sure they're loaded with salt.
Yeah. I personally would recommend staying away from those. But I know that in a pinch and when we're short on time and convenience, we need that convenience. I don't mind them so much. I think as long as you're not reaching for them every single night, you're okay. But yes, the general rule of thumb is avoid those packets as well if you can.
Okay, so we've got eating red meat all the time, don't do that. Soda all the time, don't do that. And then kind of the seasoning packets, whether they're in rice boxes or otherwise, try avoid those on a regular basis.
Exactly. Yes.
Any other?
Yes, and then one other thing, actually two other things. My one other thing was yogurt. You know how we see those yogurt containers with fruit?
Yeah.
Avoid those. Get a large container of yogurt or get a plain, small to-go size container of yogurt, but plain, because that has nothing in it. And then add your own fruit. Add, whether it's frozen fruit or fresh fruit, bananas, strawberries, blueberries, any of those fruits that you want to have in your yogurt, add it yourself. Because when you buy the prepackaged fruit-laden yogurt, you're eating mostly sugar. And again, that's not good for you. And it's going to add to our waistlines, and we don't, need the excess sugar. I think you're okay.
I'm looking, I don't know. I don't know about that. I was looking down at my waistline, actually. She said that. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So now we've added, we can almost extend that, it sounds like. Things that have pre-packaged with lots of sugar in it.
Right.
Bad.
Exactly.
So lots of salt pre-packaged, lots of sugar pre-packaged.
Exactly. So the one aisle has, things that are full of salty preservatives that you don't need in the rice mixes. And then the other aisle that's got the yogurt, all that sugar that we don't need to eat.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the last thing, I know it's hard. It's hard for most of us, including myself.
You're making me uncomfortable. You're setting this up, and I know I already know I failed. I already know I failed.
No. It's my big thing is bacon. Yes, we can all enjoy bacon, but I think
you broke Isaac's heart.
Yeah,
I just heard. Did you hear? He wailed.
I know.
He went, oh,
I'm sorry.
It's really. I mean, I feel it's the worst I've heard him sound in a long time. So, are you telling Isaac that he can't have bacon at all?
I wouldn't say at all, but let's limit our consumption of bacon, is what I'm saying.
To once a month?
I would say once a week again. I think
once
if we go that...
Isaac, you can have your bacon dreams can happen once a week.
That's right. Yeah.
Yay. Isaac said yay.
He's okay now.
He's okay. Once a week.
Yeah.
I think if you told him once a month, I don't know. Could you handle once a month, Isaac?
No. Yeah.
He was very adamant about that. No,
I don't think I would be able to handle once a month either. But again, it's one of those things like soda. It's a treat. I will have it once in a blue moon and enjoy it. I don't have it in the house. When I go out for a brunch, I'll get bacon, and then that's my treat.
Okay. So I want to do a quick time check because I've got another question for you. Isaac, how much time do we have left?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, Isaac says. So I've got one more quick question for you, and then we're going to start to move towards, time's already running out here. So when you have a client that says, Krishna, will you cook for me for a week or cook for my family for a week? What does a typical week palette look like when you're trying to cook healthy meals for a client or client family?
Yeah, it's usually about 3 to 5 meals. Most people tend to eat in the house about 5 times a week, and then the other couple of days they eat out. So I will make those dinners for them. It's very much based on what they like to eat. My specialty is in Mediterranean food, and so I do a lot of fish. I do a lot of chicken with, say, lemon sauce or herb sauce. I just did chicken with...
I shouldn't have asked this question. Now I'm hungry. Why did I do that? I did that to myself.
It's okay.
Tell me delicious things you make, Krishna, and then have me not be able to eat that.
All right.
At least I've got the hummus, which is very fantastic.
I'm glad you like it.
So, okay, Mediterranean, fish, chicken, herb sauces.
Absolutely. And then a grain or two. I'll do wild rice, or I'll even do farro, which is an Italian grain. It's good for you, and it's filling. So usually the meal includes protein of some sort, as well as couple sides, one vegetable and one grain.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then, of course, I build those menus around the palate that my clients have. I have a family that I cook for every week, and they said avoid capers, olives, and any of that salty, tart, sour flavor at all costs. And so I do. I don't make anything that has olives or any of those things. I did a chicken, sort of like lemon chicken that I do with caper sauce. Well, they didn't get the capers because obviously I want to make sure that the family enjoys the food that I'm making for them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so I ask all my guests this question. What's one life hack for us that we could take away that would help us live a life more free from dysfunction? It could be personal, professional, whatever you think.
Yeah. I would say this is personal. It's geared towards families, whether your family is of 1 or of 6. Meal planning. I always say if you spend 30 minutes during the weekend or your day off in planning for the next 4 or 5 meals for yourself and your family, and then 30 more minutes at the store getting those ingredients, you are set for the entire week. It's so easy for us to be able to come home on a Wednesday night. Your spouse is running late from work for meetings. Your kids are starving and screaming at you, and you're sort of looking at a bare pantry and bare fridge, and then you just want to do takeout or pizza. And once in a while, it's nice to be able to do takeout and pizza, but most of the time, if you set yourself up for success in meal planning and having dinners ready, then you're good, that you've got the food already in the fridge. You can get your kids involved, have everybody in the family involved to make a dinner. And when families get involved, they want to eat the food that they've made. So when your 10-year-old is, chopping up or slicing cucumbers for a salad that's happening, they're going to want to eat it. So not only do you have your meals ready to go and planned ahead of time, but when you cook together, you've got dinner on the table that everybody's going to want to eat. And so then you're not as likely to get takeout or pizza.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome. This was great. I'm so glad, so thankful for everything you brought to the show, not only kind of both your thoughts and ideas. I've learned a lot, but also this delicious food.
Absolutely.
So if people want to learn more about you or reach out to you directly, where can they go?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Facebook, it's Local Green Eats. Again, same thing with Instagram.
Local Green Eats.
Green Eats. And then I have a website, localgreeneats.com. Or if they want to contact me directly, it's Krishna at localgreeneats.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And if you're not watching the show, you got to see, because I've been kind of intimidated all show because you've got your chef jacket on and it even says Chef Krishna on it, and I'm like, that's really cool. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Okay, and thanks for listening and watching to the show. Catch a new show each Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on iTunes. thebrandonsmithshow.com and live on facebook.com/Brandon Smith WPT for Workplace Therapist. And if you haven't checked out the Workplace Therapist recently, check that out. That's where all of our old shows are libraried and cataloged, all of our blogs, resources, all things to help you. And if you've enjoyed today's show, and we certainly hope you have, please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. And so until our next show, have a great week and an awesome life.